Let me introduce myself as well. I'm the project coordinator of MAGPIE, the sister project of Pioneers. Welcome everyone, and also a special thank you for AIVP and Marielle Circle for arranging this and having us all here.
Yeah, and a nice location here.
Yeah.
We don't take too much time explaining the project. Hopefully everybody already is well aware, but maybe for the ones following online, maybe just a quick intro on the Pioneers and the MAGPIE project. We have actually quite similar agenda and project and scope, so I can
Yeah. Go ahead.
Speak on behalf of both projects. So yeah, as you know, these projects are European funded projects under the Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation Fund in the Green Deal call, so specifically targeting ports and also airports, because there are 3 airports project as well in the call, to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, in this case in port environments. Both consortia actually consist of 47 in our case. It's how many partners in MAGPIE?
45 now.
45,
yeah.
But each in every case it's a combination of public and private partners, and we have Rotterdam and Antwerp-Bruges, but we also have the fellow ports, Barcelona, Constanta and Venlo in Pioneers, and then in MAGPIE.
Yeah, for us that's HAROPA port in France, APS in Sines, Portugal, and Deltaport in Germany is the inland port that is involved.
Yeah, exactly. Both projects also kicked off around the same time, I think October 21, and we have a duration of 5 years, meaning that we're halfway in the project. And I think, and that's maybe nice to also share, because I think what draws, or what is like the unique strength of both projects is that it's a combination of both operational work, implementation of demonstrations, 19 in Pioneers, 10 in MAGPIE, and also 3 tools. So we're working on an operational level, but also we make a combination with strategic work by developing a roadmap towards the goal and the ambition to become climate neutral ports by 2050, and that will be then the outcome at the end of the project with a green port master plan. But today we're focusing actually on the demonstrations in the project. We have 4 pitchers, demo leaders, 2 from each project. I'm very happy that it's all female, actually, female demo leaders here. Yeah, we will go through the rules of and the concept of the game we're actually going to play today. But maybe just on the demonstrations we have in Pioneers. So we're actually have a framework that we have developed in the project called the Transition Arena. So it actually consists of 19 demonstrations in the project that could make up a green port of the future, but of course we're well aware that there are happening so many other greening initiatives around us in other ports. So it's very well that, for example, another port in Europe has its own transition arena with other greening initiatives. And that is actually what we would like to do also today in the workshop, is to present the demos that we have in the project, because that will be also the goal of the project, to see what might be transferable components of the demos we have in the project that could be interesting to other ports, and as such then we can accelerate in the ambition to become climate neutral. So that's a framework that we have of the co-transferability that is based on the 19 demonstrations in the project. We have chosen demonstrations in 4 areas, being clean energy production and supply. Then we have sustainable port design. We have the modal shift and flows optimization, that's a 3rd area, and then digital transformation. And it's actually 2 demos that will be pitched today from the digital transformation, and then the clean energy production and supply.
Yeah, our project is set up a bit differently. We have, of course, the same challenges, but our project is built around the energy supply of the future along the various modalities that are relevant to modern port communities. Then we have a work package for digitalization, and we're looking into land transport, inland waterways and sea transport, and the demos are all in one of those work packages where they are monitored in a separate work package, and the results of that monitoring are combined and will be available after the project in a handbook full of demonstrators, so you can all learn and see how it applies in your case. Next to that, that is an important aspect, I believe, in both projects, are the non-technical barriers that are relevant, and that is something that we hope to get more information from you as the crowd here, but also from people watching online and feeling that they could do useful suggestions to us in the future. So we're really interested in the technical possibilities of the demos, but also in the business case, in the amount to which the demos are relevant in other port surroundings, but also in non-technical barriers that we're looking for. As you mentioned, in the end we will both present master plans for the various ports that are involved, but the ambition is even higher, because we want to develop a master plan that is relevant to all port surroundings in Europe. Of course, no port is alike, and that is why we've chosen to present you the building blocks that are relevant. For example, if you have a refinery available or not, and how that needs to decarbonize. If it's a smaller port, if you have rail connections and so on, those are the building blocks that are relevant to building the final master plan in the end. For now, it is something that is of great use for both projects, I think. A few months ago, we did a Dragon's Den session in Rotterdam already, just for the MAGPIE demos. All of the demos presented themselves to a crowd of just MAGPIE people involved, but it really gave us some interesting insights, and we felt that now is the time to make the next step. Of course, to share thoughts with pioneers as well, but also to receive your feedback as a crowd today. So thank you again for joining us. Dragon's Den is a concept, I'm not sure if it's broadcast in all countries, but it is in the Netherlands. There is someone with an innovative idea, and he or she pitches for a jury, and the jury members are dragons, rich investors that they want to invest in their companies. The idea here is sort of like we have 10 million in total to offer for the 4 demos that we'll pitch today. The crowd that is in-house will decide later on which demo receives which funding, and they will receive, unfortunately fictional, but still a large check that they can share. But of course, we're mainly interested in all your feedback. As a jury chairwoman, we have Marie Gauthier available of ESTEC, a French engineering company. CETEC, French engineering company. Could you join us for a second, Marie? So the people can see you as well. Could you tell us, and especially the demo leads, what the jury...
Yeah, so as the president of the jury today, I'm here to tell you that the main points that the jury will assess are the following. We will insist on the technical aspect of the innovation, of course, but also the business aspects
how much of the investment is required, and also what are the operating costs for it to be sustainable. And finally, of course, the replicability potential of the innovation in other ports in Europe. Yeah. Basically, that's it. So good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to kick off with a small assignment. I want to ask you to all have a look at your clothes and think about where it's coming from. So, raise your hand if you think it's locally sourced. No, it's probably from China, Bangladesh, Turkey, maybe Italy. It's transported along very long routes. It's, and so are a lot of goods, actually. The trend is that there's more and more transportation of goods. It's a human need, we're addicted to it. I can go to a shopping site, I can order clothes today, get them tomorrow, and decide that I want to return them because I don't like them. And it's getting more and more. And not only for clothes, but for a lot of goods, this is the case. This is perfect for economy, also good for for our well-being, but it is not good for the environment. Did you know that transportation is responsible for a quarter of the CO2 emissions globally? That is a lot, and we need to change that. It's causing climate change, it is causing locally environmental damage, and it's causing our health damages. It's affecting us, either on the short term or on the long term. I'm Geerta, I'm from Zero Emission Services, and we are on our way to power clean corridors. What I mean with that is that we are making inland shipping zero emission. What are we doing? We have exchangeable batteries, and we make a charging infrastructure. With this, a charging infrastructure for inland barges. So there's a barge ship, it's sailing, for example, from Paris to, I need to have something close to Paris, I don't know actually. Well, it's sailing there, and it needs to be, so it's powered electric. We have a battery electric container that is transported from a container terminal to the barge. The barge is sailing for around 80 kilometers, going to the next container terminal and swaps the battery to a full one. This allows the barge to sail zero emission. So the technologies itself are not innovative here. The full system is really innovative. And what makes it even more innovative is the pay-per-use model. So the vessel owners or the barge owners, they do not need to pay for the batteries itself. So it saves a lot of capital for them. It saves risk. And it decreases the threshold to participate in such a system. And that is what this concept, what makes this concept really scalable. And that's really good because then we can make impact. So how does this look in practice? We already have the Alphenaar sailing from Moerdijk to Alphen aan de Rijn every day. It's in the Netherlands. It's for the people who are not from the Netherlands. But it's saving a lot of emissions. 220 ton CO2 is saved each year. 7 ton of NOx emissions is saved every year. Well, can you imagine what that means? What it means if this is going to be scalable? Well, this is the point where we are right now. We learned a lot from the Alphenaar. A lot of things went wrong. We implemented our improvements, and now we're ready to scale. In 2026, we want to have 45 barges sailing, all electric. We want to have 12 docking stations, and we want to have 70 exchangeable batteries. And this is of course interesting because it takes a lot of capital. and it's in that sense it is a risk, financial risk. However, we are supported already by the national government, by the growth fund in the Netherlands, which makes it possible for us to take the risk and to leapfrog the chicken-egg problem here, which is necessary to implement something like an infrastructure. So this is what is taking place in the Netherlands already, and we are on our way to grow towards an international system. So we also want to go to Belgium, we want to go to France, and we want to go to Germany as well. In Belgium, we are already working on it with the Pioneers project. We're doing a feasibility study, and we are looking into the business case, how it's applicable in Antwerp specifically, for the docking station as well as for the barge operator. And this is really interesting, the results so far are already interesting. So it is a big assignment that we are standing for together, and I want to invite you all to participate in this and to help zero emission sailing for inland shipping make possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Geerte. I'll be moderating if there are any questions from the audience. But I'm curious myself. We're here the night before the ESPO conference, so our main audience will be seaport authorities.
Yeah.
So what is it that you're asking from seaport authorities? What can we do to help you make your dreams come true?
Yeah, well, thanks for the question. So maybe good to clarify, our infrastructure is existing of docking stations, and these docking stations are often located at container terminals. Port authorities mostly have like the authority to drive so they could help disseminate the message of zero emission services along these container terminals and help us to come to great locations and install the docking stations there. Maybe good to add to this as well is that for the docking stations, it is really interesting to participate as well, because they don't need to invest anything, but they can make use of the battery. The battery is charged by renewable energy from the terminal, and there is a business model in there as well. As well as that, we are balancing the grid there. So we're doing everything to make the battery applicable to the right audience there. And it's interesting for the terminal to electrify their equipment and also to store their renewables during times that that there is abundance of renewables.
Yeah, and another question, you mentioned that you were looking for new markets in Belgium, in France, in Germany.
Yeah.
Is that sort of an oil spill that you're developing, or could you also start in Italy already, or in Poland, or wherever in Europe otherwise? And what are the main barriers to start elsewhere?
Yeah. So I would say it is preferable that we start rolling out here, because we started a network. It is a network, and the network is increasing in its value every time a new docking station is there. So I think that would be the most preferable way. So to make first this network more valuable and eventually go to another place. But we want to make zero emission sailing available everywhere in the end. So I wouldn't say no to another place. I would love to talk to other port authorities as well. Yeah.
Okay. Is there someone who would like to ask a question? If so, please step forward and you can ask the question. Could you join us?
Yes.
Please tell your name and organization.
Yes, so I am Théo Fortin and I work for the AIVP. To be fully transparent, we are in the MAGPIE project.
But CESIS as well. So
Yeah.
We do have other activities. But we are in MAGPIE. So I may be mistaken, but you say that the barge owner does not pay for the energy container.
Yeah.
So my question is very easy. It's who is going to pay, and then what is the economic model behind this? Is this going to help the shipper to save some money actually?
Yeah.
Because it would be more efficient, for example?
Yeah.
Just to clarify this point.
Yeah, I can understand this question. So we have the vessel owner needs to make, or she needs to make a big investment in the refit of the ship or of the vessel. It needs to go from diesel to electric, which is an investment. So we try to make it the threshold to have the threshold decreasing, but they still need to invest. And if you have like a battery extra, then it makes it, it is not attractive for, or we believe that it is not attractive for a vessel owner to invest in this, because it's not going to be economically well in the end. Eventually the one who pays for the battery and for the docking station and the charging infrastructure, CES is investing in that. So CES is taking the risk there, and therefore it's really good that we are backed up by the national government. They recognize this risk, and they also say that they want to participate in the idea because they see that it is that if the system grows. So to make this model valuable, it's important to have speed. So we need to roll out fast, and that's it actually. So we need to install the full network. Yeah.
So you buy these energy containers and then you rent it to the shippers, correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Geert. I'd like a big applause. Very interesting presentation and demonstration, and I wish you all the luck, of course, in continuing that during the project. I believe this is very relevant to both projects and many port surroundings, so very interested to hear the results later on. Up next is Celeste Melwijk. She works at Port of Rotterdam, so she's one of my colleagues. As mentioned before, Pioneers and MAGPIE are about smart green ports, so not just decarbonization, but also doing it in a smart way. And for that matter, we're developing several tools that will help us become smarter ports. Celeste is working on spreading road traffic, which is part of a larger digitalization project, and it helps us to make better land transport. Floor is yours, Celeste.
Okay, thank you all. So my name is Celeste Melwijk. I work for the Port of Rotterdam. Oh, thanks. And I want to take you on a journey of spreading road traffic. But firstly, I want to take you into some quotes that I brought about the Port of Rotterdam. And I want to make clear that there's a big problem going on within our port. So firstly, I want to kick off with the prediction, the total tow prediction for the upcoming years. We did a little research and we saw that by 2030 we see a large increase of 90 million TEUs within the Port of Rotterdam. And that would lead to 1.1 million additional truck calls in the port. And I know this is just for Port of Rotterdam, but I just talked to Chiara and she told me about its peak times in Barcelona. So I think this is a problem that was not only for Rotterdam but also for various other ports. I will continue with this quote. Do you know there's a lot of road maintenance going on in Rotterdam for the next couple of 5 to 7 years? We see a lot of maintenance for roads that are taking place now by the Dutch government, bridges that need maintenance, roads, and this is going to be a large congestion point within the port, and that will mean that we have a lot more traffic jams, a lot of more business in the port, and that's also something that we should take into account with our transportation via truck. And lastly, did you know that transport companies or trucking companies can do 3 trips during daytime and 5 trips during the nighttime? You can see that there's a significant improvement. And we did this study together with the transport company, and they told us that it is way more efficient to spread the transport during the whole day than just focus on it during the daytime. So what is our ambition? So together with a team within my project, together with Lieselotte, and we have also a data team behind us, we have an ambition to ensure more safer, sustainable and secure, efficient transport within the port. And our objective is that we strive for 20% of the terminal visits to occur in the lower times instead of in the peak times. The peak times, we think of that as the time between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. We consider that peak times, and besides that is off-peak times. And with our project we try to enable that we can convince trucking companies to drive more during those off-peak times. So this is off-peak distribution. So I already told you the time frame that we see, and we're really glad that this is subsidized by MAGPIE. I think we got a lot of resources via MAGPIE and also some great connections, because together with this we're also working together with TNO, because we not only want to enhance efficiency, safety and less busy roads, but also emissions. So together with TNO we're working on a calculation for the emissions, that we can also make sure that also emissions are getting lower with driving during the off-peak times. So, our current situation, what we do is we analyze board computer data from the trucking companies. But now we're doing 12 pilots with several market parties, and from them we receive board computer data. So each truck has a board computer on board, and with that we recheck their data and we analyze it in a Power BI tool. And from that we can get an analysis to see, okay, when are they driving, and are they driving mostly during the daytime, mostly off-peak, and from that we wanted to promote off-peak driving amongst other trucking companies. So with these pilots we want to establish like a base measurement and see, okay, what are they doing now and can we enhance it to other market parties that are involved in trucking transport. So we have an intensive collaboration with the market parties, so the actual truck drivers as well, and also we have a lot of bench organizations within the port. They have direct contact with the truck drivers and also with the trucking companies, also shippers, forwarders, terminals and depots, carriers, because we all want to inform them about our projects and of course you want their collaboration. So, like I already mentioned, we receive board computer data. This is historic data, so it's not actual data because we want to first do a pilot on the data that we could get from them based on an historic data set. And here you can see an example of what we put in a Power BI dashboard. So this is for our client that gave us the data, and we see that they have a lot of trips in a month. We have a deviation between 2022 and 2023, and here you can see the levels of trips. And with this Power BI set, we can also see the busyness during the days. So what we really want to see is that, are you driving on the weekends yet? Are you driving after 6 p.m. or before 6 a.m.? And with that we want to set a baseline so we can then make a calculation if we can switch to off-peak times. We're also focusing on trip durations. So with a trip duration we mean if a truck will start at a warehouse location and drives off to the terminals, we want to see if that is more efficient during the off-peak times, so if they travel less or not so long as during the peak times, and then we want to make a calculation. Here you can also see a trend analysis of the off-peak and the peak times. And for this client, we already see that they are doing off-peak truck driving already. It's not as much as peak times, because of course their end customers still want to have their containers by noon or 3 p.m. So why would you go and try to get your containers out during the off-peak time so early when the customer just wants their container during the daytime? So this is where we set up this project. Because also you want to make a shift with the customers. They still want the containers at certain times, but maybe we can also promote them to open up their gates from their warehouse a little bit earlier, so that the truck driver can already discharge their container and not have just the animal times around the day. So yeah, that is basically the analysis that we did so far. What we can now see, kind of slightly say that we see an increase of almost 15% of switching that the customers that we don't research on right now, but we want to enhance it to 20%. So we're not there yet, but we wanted to evolve the analysis and try to keep them go up to 20%. So the findings and learnings that we had so far. So I told you all that I told you first that we're doing 12 pilot parties, and we already finalized 2 already, and they were really happy with the results, because they went to the customer and they said, okay, can we maybe get the delivery times to the more off-peak times, like I already mentioned before, and they actually implemented that. So that's really a switch that we already made, and so it's actually well received by our customers already. And the learnings that we have is also that there's a decrease in waiting times at the terminals. So with the terminals, you can see that during the peak times, they have to wait a little bit longer because of the busyness on the board. But when they drive during the off-peak times, you can also see that it's less busy at terminals. And once the truck is at the gate of the terminal, the truck is faster, on its way out. And so for the first time, these assumptions that were usually, the truck drivers had some assumptions previously, because they thought that driving during the off-peak times is not as advanced as we thought they would, but it actually is. So we're glad that we can do this analysis and have this based on a data level that they can actually measure and not so much embellished feeling anymore. So we also wanted, the dependencies on the challenge in the warehouse in the opening hours. Yeah, of course, we want to challenge the customers to extend their opening hours so we can deliver at other times instead of the daytime. So the next steps 2024 are we want to research the sustainability emissions, because we did not have the time yet to actually go into Dapitino and explain and calculate the emissions that we see that is necessary for off-peak times driving. So with them we want to make a calculation like how much is it efficient, how more is it efficient to drive in the off-peak instead of the peak times. And we want to create also an analysis for all pilot parties to gain insights in this analysis, because then it's going to be busy then. But we hope to make the switch of 20% so we can spread it more evenly throughout the day. And thank you all for your attention.
Yes, thank you, Celeste. Thank you for presenting the demo. I think indeed it has a huge transfer potential, because as you already found out through Chiara, I think it's an issue that is related for many ports, I think even also for Antwerp, the delays and the long lead times. So definitely very interesting.
Yeah.
I was wondering, so you mentioned going to more off-peak time. Did it also require a shift with the truck drivers, for example? Was it easy to get them on board of this in this pilot?
Yeah, actually yes. Because they were really tired of just standing in line, standing in the traffic jams. So they were actually like, we want to drive because this is our occupation. So actually they were really happy to have this initiative, because then they could have more travel time instead of waiting time.
Okay, all right, I understand. I can imagine it would have been a barrier maybe, but in this case it was actually a driver. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But we do not want to promote like night driving as much, but more like early mornings and then maybe later evenings, and not like actual night driving, because that's of course bad for your health. So maybe we like spread it more during the off-peak times. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, very well. Other questions from the group, from the audience? Maybe at this stage. Yeah, please. Do you want to maybe come up, and that's maybe nicer also for the ones listening from remotely.
So, I know you haven't worked on it yet, but what do you think would be the impacts on the environmental aspects?
I think the environmental aspects will be that if you're traveling during the daytime, so in the peaks with all the traffic jams and the business in the port, you see that the engine of the truck is like really stationary a little bit way often, and that emit of course way more emissions. Okay. So if we want to switch it to the off-peak times, you see that they have a lot more straightforward driving instead of like stopping and traffic jams. And I really want to, I hope to see that's also way more efficient, so that there are less emitting emissions.
Yeah, so mostly about the emissions.
Yeah.
And the impact. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else? Maybe I have one final question then, maybe, because it's some things that we see recurrent in pilots related to digitalization is the data sharing. Like there are many different data sources, data owners. Was it difficult, like, to understand where all the data come from, who needs to be involved, and also, for example, also in terms of GDPR, like to collect the data? Has that been like difficult in this pilot?
So these pilots, like spreading the road traffic, partly is off-peak distribution, like the one that I presented now, and the other project is also under spreading road traffic is called Port Alert. And with Port Alert, we're making an app for truck drivers that they can see the business in the port, and also like see if there are like accidents happening, like a flitsmeister for the port. And with that, we gained board computer data from the truck drivers. So Port Alert gained it first, and then we asked, okay, we also need it for our project. So then we could collaborate and use the same data. But the hurdle that we got here was that not all trucking companies, of course, have the same board computer supplier. So now we have, for 6 pilot parties, we have the same board computer supplier, but we have still 2 parties left that have different ones. So we're having, it's really hard to have one collaborative dashboard that can enhance all board computer suppliers. So for the 2 ones that are left, we're still trying to see how can we implement it in the dashboard.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Still some challenges.
Still some challenges left. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot for your presentation.
Yes, of course.
And good luck with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Round of applause for Celeste. Okay, now first we have Chiara Stragani from representing Simne and Port of Barcelona. Also, it's a demonstration in the Pioneers project, and it's also related to the digital transformation, this time on maritime 5G. So, Chiara, I'll let you have the floor.
Thank you.
Because you have some slides as well.
Yeah, I think so. Is the next one? Like the next slide will be the...
It's next in a few seconds.
So in the meanwhile, thank you so much for this opportunity. It's a pleasure for me, and today I'm going to explain this demonstration that we are conducting between Zenit and the Port of Barcelona in the Pioneers project that regards an intelligent vessel location system at the port. So as you can see in this slide, this left picture is the current geolocation system of the vessels in the port of Barcelona. It works using 2 different technologies, radar and AIS system. So with the radar, what we do, the radar is always working inside the port. It detects the vessel moving in the port boundaries, also when they have their hoteling time. But the problem of the radar system is that if there are some barriers, the radar is not able to detect the vessels. So if there are some buildings, silos, or cranes, it is not possible to detect them. Then we have the AIS, so this information that was sent from the vessels to the port, but inside the port boundaries, this information is sent every 3 or 4 seconds, more or less. So today it's not possible to see a video, but what we see in our system is that every 3 or 4 seconds the vessels change their position. And the mix of these two technologies is these results. So the only thing that we can see about our vessel are these spots, these red and orange spots. The length of the vessels is just a reproduction because we know which docks will be occupied by the vessel. So in this way we can reproduce the length of them. But this system is not precise. So we would like to switch from this situation to the right picture. This is a first mock-up because we are now developing the official mock-up, so it's an approximation, but what we want to do is to have more precise information about our vessels in the port boundaries. And we'll do it using 3 different elements. The 5G connection, because the port of Barcelona is installing a 5G connection with Orange in all the port. Then we'll use a multi-camera systems. We are increasing a lot the number of cameras in the port before the America's Cup, so we'll use different cameras from different perspectives. But what is very special in this area is that in this area there's a mix of different traffics, because we have ferries, but also we have the yachts coming from Marina and the pleasure boats. And pleasure boats and yachts will increase a lot during the America's Cup, so we want to control this flow during the America's Cup.
For me, I wonder, it seems like quite an investment to set up something, especially when you're a port with the size of Barcelona. Does it need to be implemented all around the port? And can you give an estimation of the funding needed to fully implement the solution for your port?
Yeah, the fact is that in the case of the port of Barcelona, the 5G connection and the cameras was already decided investment, so it was not an investment connected with the pilot. So these are investments that Port Barcelona decided before maybe the pioneers, and they then also for the America's Cup they decided to increase the number of cameras. So at the end, the only cost that we have now for the pilot is the algorithm. It's not a very big cost at the end.
But if you're looking from the perspective of any other ports,
I mean, at the end, what is very good is that you need a high quality for the cameras, but not so much high. So this, of course, it depends on the area, and it depends on like how big is the port. But for the San Beltran area, for example, we are using 4 or 5 cameras at the end. So the cost for a camera multiplied by 5. Of course, the 5G connection is a huge investment. We will test if effectively the 5G will improve. Of course, we think that it will improve like the pilot itself, because it will reduce the latency. But I think that 5G is the only very big investment that we have in this case at the end.
Okay. Looking at the crowd, I see. One question, Celeste. Can you step forward?
Like the data points that you got, and how would you go forward? What's the next steps? What are the next steps that you're going to take?
We want to for the small boats and yachts. Of course, this is an important information that the port wants to know, because we want to know which boats are moving inside the port boundaries. But
why is there so many accidents prior?
Also for the accidents, also because we think that with these systems we can detect accidents in a more proactive way. We want to collect the results during the America's Cup to understand which are the advantages to take such a precise system in the port. And we think that with this system we can reduce time, we can improve our logistics activities, so we will compute our results in order to quantify results and show
how much is the improvement of the system with respect to the previous one.
Okay. And for who is it for? Is it for like the harbor master of the Port of Barcelona, or like who's the audience?
Yeah, we have a lot of, we studied like the personas of our project.
Yeah?
They are a lot.
Oh, okay.
They are really a lot. For sure the harbor master, but all the port services can also like the pilots.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it will be very useful for them, and yeah, we will, of course, we will have port service providers and the port authority, and then let's see in the future if other persona will join.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna do something mean. Camille, sorry to put you on the stand here, but I'm actually curious if this solution might be a fit for HAROPA port as well. And then if you can think of one barrier that they should consider when carrying out the rest of the project, so it might be even more applicable to your situation.
Yes, no worries.
Could you
yeah, sure.
join us here?
Well, I think we're already using 5G for dredging at the moment. But one of the barriers we're facing with that, and which I guess we might be facing for this as well, is more about the social acceptance of using 5G in the port area. So for that, I don't know if it's something you've been looking into yet, or if it's maybe not a problem.
I don't think it's a problem, like the acceptance of the 5G, because I mean, at the end, the 5G will improve our activities, will be useful for all of us, and I think it's quite considered very good in the port authority of Barcelona.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, now the port is installing the 5G, so there are a little bit of problems just to install it,
obviously.
that everything will work well, but the port is very curious about using these new connections, and we are looking for new projects and new ideas for using this 5G connection.
Okay.
Well,
so I think it's good to maybe share on this type of project, so that for us at least we get more social acceptance. Maybe you have something to add to what I said.
So everyone is mean here. Okay.
Because as a port city relations, I guess maybe you can add a bit on what I said.
I guess that when you talk about social acceptance of the 5G, people think quite often that 5G opens the door to automation, that you can pilot remotely your dredging vessel, for example. And when you have automation, of course, you destroy jobs. So then, of course, you have a lot of backlash and resistance. So I think you need to explain in what sense this is not going to suppress the jobs of the pilots and this type of things.
Yeah, but also for this pilot, we organize with the other organizer of the pioneers, we organize a workshop with also the port service providers of the port. In this workshop, we try to understand all together how it could be useful also for them, and we always be very clear that we are not destroying jobs, because at the end it's just something that will help other people to work better in the future, but without substituting per people at the end. It's just an improvement of an existing platform to use it better. So forward,
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for your answer.
Milan of Circuway. She'll present the digital tools she's been working on in MAGPIE. So
yes,
good luck with your pitch.
Thank you. So yes, I'm Marielle Durand and I work for Circuway. I'm European project manager. We are a small team of engineers in logistics, and in MAGPIE we are developing two tools which are included in work package 4. It's digital tools. We're actually smaller tools that are plugged in bigger tools. The first one I don't think it's easy to watch it on the screen, but it's a carbon emission calculator or simulator. It's not really easy to know exactly on the terminal how much the pollution is. You have the boats, but you also have all the vehicles, the straddle carriers and mobile trains. This is what we focused on. This information is not public. It's very hard to get in a way because the port authorities do not have this kind of data, so we had to go and meet with the port terminals. They do not have sensors, so this could be the next step, maybe a more innovative approach. So we focused on the consumption of fuel and also the distances on average that a straddle carrier or a container basically is inferring. So when a container arrives, how much does it pollute? Not directly, but indirectly by being maneuvered here and there. It's not difficult to realize that what pollutes the most is the straddle carrier, because the boat, once it's there, it pollutes, but it doesn't move much. The lifting crane moves, but the straddle carrier does a lot of different moves. So if we take into account the average distance and the energy consumption, we come up with this average number for one container. And so it's not very clear, but what we do is we put in the number of containers, the ratio between 20 and 40 feet, the percentage of transshipment, and then you kind of fiddle with this slider and you say, okay, if the straddle carrier takes a different route or optimizes its route, how much lower, how much less do we pollute? And what happens if we electrify a straddle carrier? If it does, if this is what pollutes the most. So this is what we try to simulate and to optimize, to make sure that with small little changes, such as changing the energy or also optimizing the routes, we can really lower the CO2 emissions. So this is the first tool that we did. We did it for the Port of Le Havre, we did it for Deltaport, and we are in process of doing it for Rotterdam and Sines. As I mentioned, it's not accurate because we are not putting sensors, but it will allow us to have a rough idea and plug this into IFPEN's tool, the green logistic ports, which shows pollution around in a city. But if we can add this data, the pollution that is emitted on a port, then the overall picture is more accurate. And because we take the number of TEUs and the average distance and the pollution, I guess this could be replicable in most ports in a way. And the second tool, in life we all have to make decisions, and sometimes it's not just yes or no, or go, no go. You mentioned, Gerte, in your first pitch that we pollute a lot by changing our mind, by wanting a piece of clothes or any kind of other item very fast, but I'm sure there's a lot of e-commerce businesses who are starting to do so. When you order something, is it really, how bad do you want it? They could tell you the information, they could tell you if you really want your item tomorrow or today, you will pollute that much, or you will emit that much quantity of CO2. But if it's not that deadly, if you can wait a little bit, like 2-3 more days, then you reduce that pollution. So it's a bit like a pack of cigarettes. You see it behind the back that it's not good for you. You still do it, and slowly, the mental shift is happening, and you start slowing down, and it sinks in your mentality, and you stop, polluting so much, wanting things so fast. Obviously, if you order flowers or oysters, it's a little bit more pressing than if you order a piece of furniture. Decision support tool is we didn't do oysters or flowers, or maybe we did, but we take a container, for example, that arrives in Le Havre and goes to Rungis. It's close to Paris, so it's about 221 kilometers. And we offer different scenarios. If the route doesn't exist, then they will say, sorry, it's not direct, you can't go from Lyon to Paris directly, there's no river crossing France across yet. So to do these 221 kilometers, you could either do it in a first scenario, 100% road with like hardcore polluting diesel fuel, and the impact would be 209 kilogram of equivalent kilogram of CO2. The scenario 2, it's still diesel, but it's mixed with natural gas or something more, more natural. Still diesel, but we soften the quantity, and so it shows you that for the same distance you save 3% of CO2. It's not amazing, but we'd rather lose it than gain it. The scenario 3, you will use the train. Obviously, you cannot take the train immediately from the boat to the consumer. But at least out of the 221, it's a bad comparison because it's a bit longer. By train, it's 261, but you save 54.5% of CO2 emissions. It might take a bit longer. The cost is a bit higher. Instead of 1,194 by road, then it will be 1,249. So slightly more, probably a bit slower, but the pollution reduction is massive. It's half the reduction of the pollution. And the last scenario is with inland waterways. So if you use a barge, as you can see, it's a bit winding to go from Le Havre to, it's 378 kilometers. The river is not like a straight highway, but you reduce also the impact, the CO2 impact by almost 25%. And it is roughly the same price as the road. So I think, so what we took into account, we met with a lot of freight forwarders. They gave us their cost. We put an average cost for each route or each scenario. The cost also include the demurrage, all the extra costs that are included in the transport itself. Then we have the cost, we have the time, and the third is the CO2 emission. And so we put all these data also in Microsoft BI. And it's quite user-friendly, it's quite simple, and we use it as almost like a marketing tool. Not we, but a freight forwarder can start teaching their clients to say, okay, we can do it fast if you want, and we can pollute a lot. But if you want to go down this route, because Europe will force us to do it anyway very soon, we can accompany you, we can tell you how much you're winning out of this. And the replication, of course, this is a tool that we are using with Erasmus for the port of Rotterdam. It won't be as accurate because you're not going to have all the cost. We don't care about the cost in this project, it's more about the pollution. But you can use it as a tool everywhere. It's not open data, it's only, you have your own link and your own information, so it's protected. And I think where it comes in handy is in 2025 everywhere in Europe, we will have every SME above 250 employees will have to show how much they pollute. They will have to show their CO2 emissions. So it can be for the small flowers or the piece of clothes that you mentioned earlier, but it could also be for the containers. It's a tool that will be handy for everyone. A lot of people do it already in-house, but we have developed another one based on this called Iroko, and it's also quite user-friendly, and it's for people to know exactly what the best route would be for them before the tax is raised, before the obligation and the regulation change. That's it for me. Thank you.
Also linked to the CSR directive and then at science-based targets, it's like reducing your carbon footprint starts with knowing the carbon footprint and knowing that in like a port ecosystem. I think it's very challenging, especially when with regard to the scope 3 emissions, knowing like in the supply chain and how you can create an impact. So with this tool, it's really nice, very nice to hear, and also to see how you get everybody on board also and how you use it towards stakeholders and potential stakeholders in the supply chain. So it's really interesting. Actually, I think I already see a link of with what we are doing actually in the Pioneers project with a similar tool. Any questions already from the audience? Yes, Celeste, please move forward.
So within the Port of Rotterdam, I think Arjan also knows we have a sub company that's called Route Scanner. Route Scanner is also used by the Port of Antwerp, I know, and a lot of other ports. But what is so different that the Route Scanner is doing versus what you guys are doing?
Can you remind me what road scanner is? What are the specifications exactly? What do they do?
It's also a multimodal inland planner.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, so you can go as an individual, you can go onto the Route Scanner website, and you can point in, okay, I want to go from Le Havre to Paris, and then if you fill in the route, they also give like the best option, price-wise, emission-wise. So I think it's quite similar as what you guys are doing, and also with the emission, the pollution that you can do with the transport. Yeah, they also state that.
I mean, I've heard of Route Scanner. I wasn't sure whether they were based in all the countries in Europe. Because what we did is really interviewed. We met with freight forwarders, with maybe 20 to 30 companies. I doubt that Route Scanner interviewed all the companies in all the countries of Europe. Maybe they did. But I think how it started for us is that we did it for HAROPA. It was a specific demand from HAROPA. They wanted to start moving, shifting the mentality, and to show that if you go towards modal shift, then you will also lower the CO2 emissions. So I don't know, are you sure that the costs are included? That you take the demurrage
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think
there must be some differences. I'm sorry, I'm not the engineer who has.
No, that's fine.
fine.
It's actually because it's what happened in Pioneers project. We also defined like a demo related to a multimodal inland planner at the beginning of the project during the proposal phase. And then just a year after, there was a collaboration between some ports, and then it was decided to go with the route scanner. And then we had a bit of a problem in the Pioneers project because indeed it was decided to go differently with the and to collaborate with route scanner. But I think it's nice to see, like, I think it makes sense that different initiatives pop up, and then I think it's nice to see what the synergies could be. Or
sure.
Because when we spoke to Erasmus, who are doing the main demo for MAGPIE, they were welcomed our data. It didn't really exist. So I think that the route scanner must be somehow less accurate. It's probably a tool that we're only doing it for France for now. So maybe that's where the difference is. It might be a bit more refined for France because there's the structure, and maybe a route scanner. I don't know. I mean, honestly, and to be honest with you, I haven't looked at route scanners. So I don't know what the.
Yeah, you could just take a look at the website and then just.
Really. But I mean, if you know it, maybe you can tell me what difference you see.
Yeah, I must look into it. Bring it a bit further, but I'm not like part of route scanner. But I thought I heard some similarities that maybe you knew about. But
I don't know. But I think the difficulty is very often when you plan a route is to cross borders, because you were showing earlier that you had truck drivers on a Sunday. In France, this wouldn't be allowed.
Okay.
You cannot have trucks on a highway during the Sunday. So each country has their own regulations and they have their own possibilities. So I guess our tool is really focusing on what's possible with our regulations, and also we base our calculation, the CO2 emission, on a French national agency, environmental agency called ADEME. So this is kind of what makes it tailor-made to France, because we'll have the emissions.
And that would be probably also one maybe a barrier, but definitely necessary to look into when you replicate to like other ecosystems to see what are the specifics and the characteristics that indeed are different.
Yes, because we want after to have the same tool. We want to be able to put electricity, to be biofuel, hydrogen. We are able to then add another tab. And not only do what I showed you, the barge, we want to make it a little bit more sophisticated. And this, I don't think route scanner does. And again, this data, I would say for hydrogen, the prices are very volatile. It's not a ready market. So this data will come with time, and we will get this data from ADEME. So it's difficult, I think, to make a European route scanner when each country, we also, the way we have codes for different towns. I don't think you use the same codes, or you know, so I think each, it's the difficulty in replication. So we try, in the first tool I was mentioning, you know, this simulation of emissions, we base our calculation on the French port of Le Havre. But a container still is a container, and a straddle carrier is a straddle carrier. This doesn't vary. So we could very well replicate that.
Yeah, maybe in Rotterdam we see that we have more automated the process on the terminal. So I think for Rotterdam it's also again different in that case. But
Each route is different. Your infrastructure is different. So the way you organize your terminal is different. So I guess all these tools that we're creating, I mean, the best innovation would be to be putting all the tools that we've been mentioning together. We'll have the perfect world. But I think that's where the difficulty is to make sure that we all get intertwined and also we protect the data, that it's accepted. Camille said, you know, that's a big issue we have in some ports also in France. You know, people are scared that we take, if we automatize too much, that they lose their jobs. But that's why I really insisted on a decision support tool, that it's just for you to know, okay, it's your decision whether you want to pay more or pollute more for now. But eventually you will have to stick to the rules, and it's better that you get used to this idea. So it's more like a educational.
Especially with the goals for 2050, I think, with the emission goals for European for the whole Europe. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks a lot, Celeste, for your question. Thank you also, Miguel. Any other questions? No? Okay, then I think, Theo, please go ahead.
Don't be mean.
That's okay.
You have shown us 4 options.
Yes.
Normal truck with fossil fuels, GNL, LNG truck.
No, it's a little bit.
LNG is also a fossil fuels, but better. Barge and train. But in the future, we will have 5 or 6 alternative fuels. So you will have to add 6 options: methanol truck, methanol train, ammonia truck, ammonia train, and so on and so on. And our tool
allows to do that.
So will you be able to have 12 options evaluated? And is it going to be understandable if you have 12 or 15 options to compare? And then you have the data for 15 options together. Yeah,
we on average, I think when we ask for a route, there's an average of 29 scenarios that come up, except if there's nothing, if there's none. So you already have a lot of scenarios, and yes, they are all there. But people have a short attention span. You know, when you look at something on Google, you stop after the second page. No, I'm joking. They will probably look at the first 4 best options, and you know very well that at some point, yes, hydrogen or methanol will be the future, but they will not be cost competitive at the beginning. So I think this will be a very slow process anyway. That's why we need to start now, because it will. But yes, it's very easy for this tool to be compatible. It's just data. It's just new data, a new tab, and already with just 4, you know, just like a GNL electricity and diesel, we come up with 29 scenarios sometimes. It's like looking for, you know, your next watch or your next shirt. You know, sometimes you have as many pages as you want. It's just, I think at some point we'll have to be more refined in our demand on, you know, on the boxes that you tick, the options that you need, and the more precise you are, because you're knowledgeable, because you've been, you know, you've been thinking about it, and people have talked about it. Then after a while, you won't even have to look through the 29 scenarios plus. You'll know roughly, okay, this is what Europe wants. So I'll skip the fossil fuel. What's left in? Oh, this one I can't afford yet.
Could you add a filter, like on Amazon?
Yes,
I want this type of product, and I filter the
We'll
routes.
have more filters. So if you want no filters, you'll have 200 possibilities. And if you have more filters, then you'll have, just 4.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. Thank you,
You're
Miguel,
welcome.
also. Thanks a lot for your presentation. All right, maybe we can
Yeah.
I think a big thank you, first of all, to the 4 pitchers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, indeed. To Geerte, Celeste, Chiara, and Muriel for taking the stage and pitching their demos. I think
Yeah,
more
I hope
interesting
you
demos.
found it interesting as well, and please reach out to us or to the demo leads if you have any tips for the future or want to learn more about the demos. We're going to have a drink now. The demo leads are actually leaving the room. So the audience with a drink, of course, to eat. And meanwhile, the audience will discuss which demos deserve which funding. Later on, we'll come back and have the awards of the large check. So see you in a few minutes. The audience has decided. So Marie, can I ask you to come forward and hear your verdict?
Join us on our stage.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure on my shoulders, I have to say. So, of course, it was very close because all of your projects were very interesting. So we had some struggle to decide, but finally, the winner is the project with the 5G maritime aspect. Sorry, I have forgotten exactly. So congratulations. So you're funded $10 million. So congratulations, no, euros. Congratulations. It's a European project, so please, euros.
Oh, thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you, maybe you can.
Wow.
Actually, we should give it.
Okay, so thank you so much. Thank you. Now I have to say to the board that we have a lot of euros more for our
Exactly. Now we can invite everybody to the Barcelona Cup.
Yeah, we can arrive to 6G connection.